Oh well guys, I guess I'm recording. Here I am, Bays Beach, just report to you about my experience I had, I think it was back in 1994, around about. And long story. I was sitting there at the flat at May and June Street, I think it was. Anyway, actually I was asleep. Where did it start? That's right, no, yeah, I was in the flat. And I get a phone call from my brother, and my brother says, "Hey Marcus, you better watch out. The cops have been after you. They're going all the way to Patamaui, where I used to live. And I'm in Hamilton, so about maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours away, back in those days." And I said, "What's that all about, man?" And he goes, "I don't know, they didn't say, they're just looking for you." So me being the wonderful law-abiding citizen that I am, I called up the cop shop and said, "Hey man, the cops have been after me, what's up?" I might have called 111, I don't know. And anyway, I got this woman, and I presume she was a police officer. And anyway, she just starts barreling a whole bunch of questions at me, and me being the law-abiding citizens I am, I just answered them. And she said, "Oh, have you got friends down?" I'm going to say Carrington Ave. I'm pretty sure it was something like it started with a C anyway, years ago now. And they said, she said, "Have you got friends in Carrington Avenue?" And I said, "Oh, nah." And she goes, "Well, why were you there?" And I said, "I don't remember going there." And she goes, "Well, you're seen acting suspiciously around there. Your license plate number on your van's been reported to us." So anyway, I said, oh yeah, okay, I can remember now, because I sort of forgotten all about it. I bought a textbook, and that textbook was at this place, and we drove down a driveway. There's three of us. There's me, my mate Chris, and my mate Josh. And we were going to go there, then get the groceries afterwards, and that's why we're all in the van. Anyway, I bought the textbook from this place, $50 I think it was, biology. And as I was backing back, I saw these dudes looking at me, and they looked like they were retarded or something, and I just gave them a wave, and because they just had the stare going on, you know. Anyway, I didn't really think much of it, and then did the groceries, went home, and anyway, so I'm answering this all to this woman cop, you know, and she goes, "Okay, well, who was in the van with you?" And I said, I told her all that. I said, "My flatmate Chris and my other flatmate Josh." And she goes, "Oh, what's Chris's last name?" And I said, "McDonald." And she said, "Oh, can you spell it?" And I said, "Oh, it's either M-A-C or M-C and then Donald, you know." And she goes, "Well, ask him." And she was a bit freaking pissed off at this point. And I was like, "Man, I'm doing you a job for you, lady. I'm paying your damn tax. My taxes are paying your wage. That's what I'm thinking." But I said, "Man, you don't need to get snarky on me. He's not here to ask, and it's either M-A-C or M-C. You're the cop, work it out, right?" And at this stage, I'm kind of thinking, "Oh, there's an edge to this. What's going on?" So anyway, then she said, "Oh, well, how about Josh? What is his full name, Joshua or whatever?" And I had no freaking clue. I don't even remember his last name. So I chucked Josh on the phone, and Josh says, "Josh, Josh, Josh." And he says it in a real snarky voice, and I don't think Josh and cops got along too well. Anyway, she goes, "Okay, well, you know, thanks for the..." No, she didn't even say thanks or nothing. She goes, "Okay, well, you're seen acting suspiciously. By the way, your van's got a pink sticker." I said, "What's a pink sticker?" She goes, "Oh, you got to go get a warrant to get it removed." What the heck? And first I've heard of it, and I'd had this van for a while now. Anyway, so I thought, "Oh, bugger, I'm not going to get a waft just because she says there's a pink sticker. Like, you know, what rights do they have?" Now, I want to digress a bit. If you're in the States, you have the right to just claim the fifth, I think it is, plead the fifth, and just not give any information about yourself. I don't even think they can ask for your ID unless you've got probable cause. And perhaps they did have probable cause in this case because they saw me acting suspiciously. And in the States they would have, but I think most people in the States would have just said, "Piss off, go do your freaking homework and come and see me when you've done your homework." Anyway, but me being a law-abiding citizen and trusting cops, I went, "Okay, well, there's the information. I want to save them some time, you know." Anyway, I keep on driving my van around, didn't really think much of it, and then all of a sudden, it was the night before a big exam I had. My flatmate comes into the room, he goes, "Oh, hey, the cops are here." It was about 10 o'clock at night. "The cops are here, man, and they're here to see you." And I said, "What?" And I thought he was joking, and I thought, "Gosh, man, freaking, I need to sleep." And he goes, "No, seriously, there's three cops at the door." So I go to the door in my boxer shorts. I think I had a duvet around me, or a doona, as the Aussies say. And I'm looking at this cop, and the cop just starts firing on 2 dogs. I think there's at least 1 or 2 dogs, canines, Alsatians. And the cop just starts barreling some questions at me, like, where have you been tonight? What'd you eat for dinner? How'd you get there? And is that your van parked in the driveway? I said, yeah. I said, hang on a tick, you can't freaking just go and ask me all these questions at 10 o'clock at night. What's up? And he goes, oh, there's been a burglar up the road and the cops have tracked you to this address. And I said, man, I didn't freaking do it. You know, I was shocked, because my folks are law abiders, I'm a law abider, and up until this point, I'd had a lot of respect for cops. And I heard stories, but this is the days before the internet, man, so I don't know if I could trust those stories. Anyway, I'm freaking answering these bloody questions, and I go, hey man, you can't freaking do this and come into my house like this. And because they'd actually been into the house, they'd actually gone into the house, walked around the house, found one of the room doors open, and my flatmate was still awake apparently. Anyway, they realised I think they'd stuffed up, and they went off, left me alone. But I was riled up now, I couldn't freaking sleep, and who knows how I did on that bloody exam. But anyway, I was pretty racked up now. I went and wrote a letter to the cops, the main cop at the senior sergeant, whoever he is. I said, man, get your cops to do some better homework, man, because I freaking haven't done a bloody thing. And they're saying I've got this damn, oh that's right, they said, oh, you can't drive your van on the road because it's been pink stickered. Who peeled the bloody thing off? And I had, I'd never ever seen a pink sticker on my vehicle in my whole life, didn't even know what one was. The van was perfect, it had a warrant. So anyway, I went down to, the sergeant calls me up and says, oh, come and talk to me. And then he just ripped in and said, hey man, you make mistakes, don't you? If you're going to write an angry letter, put it in the drawer for a few days and think about it before you send it. And I said, look man, if a cop makes a mistake with me, I've got no recourse. But a cop goes in, but if I make a mistake, like I freaking go 1k over the speed limit, don't stop at a stop sign, whatever, the cops are all over you. There's double standard going on here. And I'm actually paying these dudes to do that job, which, I don't know, man, I started to get a bit riled up. Anyway, I said I want $50 compensation for, the trouble they're causing. And he goes, look mate, I ain't gonna give you money. You better get a freaking warrant or I'll pull you up and give you a $400 fine. So anyway, I go to the damn cop station and, get a warrant, so you need to get a WOF. A WOF stands for warrant of fitness to make sure your car's safe. And back then you got one every 6 months. Anyway, yep, sure enough it passed. Took it into the cop shop so they'd take away this bloody pink sticker type thing, whatever the hell that is, on the computer. And he goes, oh, this is null and void, mate. This isn't a proper freaking, this ain't a proper, what do you call it? A proper warrant. It's not a vehicle testing station in New Zealand warrant. So it's like a government sanction type thing. Oh God. So I said, okay man, you didn't tell me that. So I didn't want to get pulled up and $400 fines. And if I had a good lawyer, fuck, I would have really just gone home with these guys, man, and done a day. But anyway, I go to the testing station, I see the girl there, I say, hey, how you doing? I just got to get a warrant for my van, and it's a bit odd because it's early, obviously, because I didn't really need one. And she goes, okay. And then she looks a bit freaked out, and I go, I wonder what's up here. And obviously there was some kind of thing where if there's one has had a suspicious thing logged against their vehicle, the testing station calls the cops up and say, hey, come and talk to this guy. So anyway, what I'm trying to say is I'm standing there waiting for the bloody warrant of fitness, and 2 cops turn up in a cop car. I said, oh, for fuck's sake, what's up, man? And they go, oh, we're just checking you out, man. Like, looks like someone's having some fun with you. And they could see it was just a laugh, like for them, they'd put this damn fake pink sticker on with the computer. And anyway, to cut forward to a bit, I got the warrant, the proper warrant from the VTNZ, and those cops went on their way, and I was just kind of flabbergasted because I'd gone through all this fucking hassle, and the cops had wasted all this time driving to Patamaho, the cops standing at my door at the flat with the dog when the real burglar's getting away, and they're asking these stupid questions. One cop could have asked me the questions while the other bloody dog could have chase the guys. I guess we're on a corner, and I believe what's happened is that the criminal went from one street to another street by going through our property, and that's why the scent went through to our house. Who knows, they could have ran through our house for all we know. They could have been hiding in there, who knows. Anyway, we used to always leave the door unlocked. Anyway, but also, the cop station, the cops going to the testing station, all this cop time that we're paying for our taxes was just wasted with this stupid exercise. Now, someone said to me, oh, maybe they had the house under surveillance. This is the one that was, I bought the biology book from. I thought, okay, well, maybe that was the case, but look all the fucking round they did to an innocent citizen. And by the way, up until that point, I trusted whatever I heard about cops, like, as in, they're the good guys and the criminals are the bad guys. But that day I realized, man, all these stories came out. All these stories where, I'll give you an example. One guy said they were at a party and it was New Year's Eve, and someone chucked a bottle at these cops, a whole bunch of cops, and it smashed on a cop's face, which is not nice, by the way. I don't believe in that kind of thing. Anyway, this regular citizen standing at his house and the party going on, and anyway, this cop comes over fucking mad ass saying, everyone out of this house, get out of here now. Anyway, this dude I knew complied, but someone behind him said, oh, you can't tell us to do that. And the cops spun around and thought that this guy who I knew had said it, and he smashed him in his guts with his PR24 baton. That's like a 24-inch black steel baton that the riot squad used. Smacked him in the guts, and he doubled over thinking, shit, man, this guy's gonna kill me. Anyway, he started running, which you would, because you've just been assaulted by a cop, right? Anyway, started running, and the cop spun around and chucked the baton at him and hit him in the back, and he just kept on running. And there was one instance where I thought, yeah, fuck, that's pretty bad. And then another instance is where my mum, actually, back in the day, this is years ago, it would have been probably the freaking, I don't know what that would have been, could have been the 50s, maybe the 60s. Could have been the 60s or 70s, who knows. She was driving home once and this cop just pulled her over in the middle of nowhere. So, where are you going? Why are you going this way? If you live there, why are you going this way, I think he probably was thinking he's going to try and get lucky. Anyway, my mum didn't drink or drive or nothing, and I think she'd been watched by this guy because he knew her route that she'd drive home. Situations where, you hear a whole bunch, man, like Clint Rickard. I'll read out those names later, where at the moment there's a big freaking upheaval going on in the top cops, where they've all collaborated together to sort of try and gang up on this woman who's saying how bad this cop is, but the cops are protecting their own. And by the way, I've got to insert this here, man. I love a lot of cops. There's people I know who I really respect who are cops, and they've been super helpful. This message isn't for those people. I'm talking about the bad cops who bring them down. And it's often the good cops who take a freaking smash in the guts by a gang member, because the gang member just thinks all cops are bad. You hear about undercover cops, where I read a story once where this guy had gone undercover, and he said how they'd be cruising along undercover with gang members, and then cops would pull them over just to goad them into violence and just being bullies. So anyway, those are some stories there about how bad these cops can be, and to citizens who pay their damn taxes. Now, I know in the States there's a big move to defund the police, and I don't think that's the answer, but the same thing goes, man, the police have got to be accountable for what they do, the murders they do, the assaults they do, the corruption they do, the drugs they steal, and it should be like tenfold for them, because that's their freaking job, and they're working for the taxpayer. What's another thing about all this? So anyway, going back to my van pink sticker situation, pink sticker got taken off on the computer. They said it'd take 6 months for that to happen. I just kept on driving the van around, and it was sweet, but it put a bad taste in my mouth, man. And there's a few other stories I know that are out there where, like, I know personally a cop where, when Clint Rickard and all those guys were getting done for rape, he was a police officer, and his notebook got stolen probably by someone connected to Clint Rickard and that kind of thing, where he had evidence about them. They knew he had the evidence, so they took his notebook, and he never would misplace his notebook. Anyway, I think we should still try our best to respect the police, but always have caution, and trust only goes as far as you can trust them, man. I look too at I've got a whole bunch of stories here in Bailey's Beach. I remember one time I was at work, working my ass off to pay tax, make a living, pay for my family, and my wife calls me up and she goes, "Oh, Marcus, out the back in the gully, in the valley there's this police helicopter, unmarked I think, and these guys just abseiled from it with guns. I think a dog came down with them. Anyway, what should I do?" And she had my little son with her at the time, still a baby. And I said, "Susie, go inside. There's obviously a criminal going around with a gun, and they've come to get him, come to get the bad guys. So freaking get yourself, go up to our top floor, that's all lockable. It's like a fortress up there, and stay there until we hear it's safe." So she did that. Anyway, I was going to come home and just to make sure everything's okay, but I thought, okay, as long as she's there, I've got to bloody work. Anyway, I hear that what they're doing is a drug bust for cannabis plots, where people had a little cannabis plot in their backyard, and there was 2 old ladies they got, like, when I say old, they're over 50, and here they were growing their own to smoke themselves, and maybe they sold a bit, but nothing big. And I thought, of all the fucking things you've got to do, there's child molesters out there, there's murderers, there's rapists, people do assault, and you pick on the low-hanging fruit, the little old ladies in a beach town who just want to get some wacky-backy, and you scare the living daylights out of me and my missus and son. And the unsafe thing is you guys come to fucking do that, sometimes you'll hear about someone chucking something at a police helicopter so it crashes, and I don't think that's the right thing, but when they're fucking doing that, harassing our community, you can understand why some people get so damn pissed off. And when it's you who's paying for it and your taxes, it's fucking annoying. So anyway, and I look back into that pink sticker incident where I had all those damn hassles from the cops, and here it is, 2000 in the 2000s, all that kind of shit going on, and nothing's changed. So anyway, I remember at the pub one time with my mate, we'd gone into a field, don't know why we went to this field, and came back, and the cops pulled us aside and said, and we were walking, they said, "Oh, you're looking a bit glassy-eyed there, mate, trying to pin us for drugs or something," and we weren't stoned or nothing. We probably weren't even drunk. I thought, don't be a fucking business, man, just leave us alone. And you hear about the old cop getting smashed one, and it's kind of like, well, I was walking on this beach one time. I had my fluoro gears on and it was wet, and there were these cops down the beach of all places, and one guy, I recognised the guy, he's a new young guy, a rookie dude, trying to probably assert his dominance, and he goes, "Oh, hey man, what are you doing walking at this time of night? It's a bit strange, ain't it? Like all suspicious." And I thought, I could answer you, I could just carry on walking. So if you've got a decent question to ask me, like what's my name and address and my date of birth, which is what they're legally allowed to ask that, mate, but don't fucking get all suspicious on me, man. The same guy pulled me and my missus up once, actually. We had pizza, and they had some kind of roadblock, I don't know what they're looking for, and he looked at the pizza box thinking, "Oh, this is suspicious." Anyways, but that's my spiel. Maybe you got some to share in the comments, and have lots of peace, guys.